This is the S&P 500 one-month overview reading for the month of August 2023. It's currently June 28th, 2023, 11:20 p.m. Eastern Time. The S&P 500 at the time of this reading is currently 4376.86, and the shuffle file for the August reading was created on May 23rd, 2023 at 10:21 p.m. Eastern Time. That's this file right here. The overall theme and behavior for the month looks like there's a period of sideways rotation along a key support level on a multi-day kind of scale, like on at least a one-month scale. We'll be rotating sideways, and that sideways rotation does end with a fast sudden move higher. It is the sideways rotation with the fast sudden move higher is crossed, however, with the halting of a bullish trend marked by a sharp decline through key support, again on a multi-day kind of scale. Here in July, we're kind of coming out of a trough at the end of the month and into a rally with the highest high at the end of the month. A halting of a bullish trend early in the month of August. It's a little bit difficult to determine exactly where the high is. When you have a theme card that's like sidewaysy, it's going to be up and down, back and forth, kind of going sideways. It can become very difficult to determine exactly where the highest high or lowest low is, because you'll have highs that are close to the same. My sense is that we have like a pretty notable high or trough at the beginning of the month, somewhere around the 1st or 2nd. Not necessarily a highest high, and then we may have a highest high around the cusp of the 8th or the 9th, followed by lows. These could be consecutively lower and lower lows, or they could just be like the same lows because it's sideways rotation. Somewhere around the 24th through the 28th is probably where we see a really notable move to the upside, and that Ace of Swords could be another high. It'll be a prominent peak of some sort with a lot of price change there. Maybe it'll be another high there, or higher high. When we look at the 1 month, it does look like we have a high towards the end of the month. And I'll also point out that I have a lowest low correlation here. Looking at it 6 months later and looking at the chart, looks like we had lowest lows here in January with this trough. So probably this is where the lowest low is going to be here in early January, right? And then we had another trough in March, and you can see there's another trough in March. So these were probably the lowest lows. My sense is that we're not going to see a lowest low here in the S&P 500. We're not going to see a low like I originally expected in September. It'll definitely be a significant trough that stands out, but I don't think it's going to be a lowest low there. Aside from that, it's looking pretty solid. I mean, we have a highest high here in June. We have our first highest high here in June, as indicated by the high. So aside from getting where the slowest low is, we're on point for the highs and basically all of the chart behavior, even these troughs. Pretty solid, especially considering the S&P 500 one-year reading was created on October 10th, 2022 at 1:50 p.m. Eastern Time. So behavior around the highest side, there's a notable opportunity near the highest side that's really going to stand out as like an improbable happening or an improbable opportunity that stands out amongst other opportunities on like a multi-day kind of scale. Behavior around the low, we have a low that forms when we go from a near overbought crest or peak into a sell-off through multiple support levels into the low. Let's take a look and see how we're doing for June thus far. We nailed the lowest low, looks like, here on the 1st. We have a lowest low. It's clearly a lowest low here on the 1st of June. We nailed that. There was opportunity in this little bit of a wick to the downside here on the 2nd to open up a long position. You could see that really would have paid off. You could also hold that long position to close on the 7th. You would have been happy as well. Or you could have held it until the 23rd. We would have waited too long. You still would have been quite a happy camper as far as profits, but it looks like we were off a little bit as far as the high. It's going to happen occasionally, but the sequence of events seems to be pretty solid. We just kind of had the high a few days later. We still have the low at the beginning of the month, high mid-month, and then we dip after the high, followed by a little bit of a return to crest or peak here, and that's pretty much the same pattern that's unfolding. So I think pretty solid for the most part. I wouldn't give it a 98, but I'd say it's in the 90s. And considering that reading was created on February 26, 2023 at 11:29 p.m. Eastern Time, that's saying something for estimate meta-analysis. So let's get into the day-by-day chart behavior. It looks like we probably come off of that highest high with like a gap down Monday morning, and then we move to the upside throughout the day with the breakout that would probably stand out on a multi-day chart. That breakout doesn't hold. I think we probably have a failed attempt at that same price level here on the 2nd, a failed attempt followed by a decline through key support on a multi-day scale. There's a notable trade opportunity there, and it looks like there's a peak at the end of the day, actually. So we might break out into a peak here at the end of the day and then decline from that or gap down overnight into the 3rd. The establishment of support on the 3rd with the big move to the upside. A notable gap down here on overnight on the 2nd into the 3rd. And then the 4th is mixed. There's an important support level highlighted around the 4th that'll be important on like a 1 year scale at least. We open lower on the 7th with a bit of a decline, and then out of that decline there's a fast sudden move higher, going from the bottom of a range all the way to the top of a range. Probably midday we'll start and we'll have a peak or crest and trade opportunity around the cusp of the 7th and the 8th. We decline around the cusp of the 7th and the 8th, and then there's a prominent move higher on the 8th, followed by a full retracement of that move back down towards the end of the day. There's a peak at the end of the day on the 8th, and we decline off of that. The following day we have the highest high might be here around the 8th or the 9th. There's high probable location around the 8th or 9th for a highest high. On the 9th, we have a failed attempt to break through key resistance on the multi-day scale, followed by a decline through key support. And then this Magus card on the 10th is actually quite bearish. There's a trade opportunity as well. I'll get into the trade opportunities at the end of this video. On the 11th, fast sudden move higher, it looks like, especially towards the end of the day, and then we open lower, or we decline early in the day on the 14th, taking us to what's probably a lowest low thus far for the month. Not necessarily a lowest low for the whole month, but probably thus far for the month it's the lowest low. On the 14th, there's a brief peak that's easily missed on the 14th, followed by a decline through multiple support levels, and then towards the end of the day, a little bit of a move to the upside. Sideways rotation, pretty mixed throughout the 15th. We open lower on the 16th at the new moon and move significantly to the upside. A lot of ground is covered to the upside there, moving into the 17th, where we have a reversal. After a lot of price change, there's a reversal, and we move to the downside towards the end of the day on the 17th, or overnight into the 18th. Towards the late morning of the 18th, we have a big move to the upside. We successfully turn a resistance into new support. There's a trade opportunity there. I'll talk about it at the end of the video, and then we decline pretty notably at the end of the day or over the weekend into what's probably another lowest low. Either that or we have a crest at the beginning of the day and we decline off of that crest through multiple support levels into the lowest low. But I think we probably open lower and there's a decline there to a lowest low, but then towards the end of the day we're moving higher, and there's a trade opportunity at key resistance early in the day on the 22nd before declining with consecutively lower spikes up on the way down into the 23rd, where the decline increases in momentum moving forward through the day. On the 24th, we have a notable rally increasing with momentum moving forward into at least midday. We may start selling off towards the end of the day, or we could rally into the end of the day. Hard to determine. On the 25th, we have a pretty notable decline early in the day, followed by a move higher at the end of the day. And then a lot of ground is covered. We have both a prominent trough and a prominent crest on the 28th. A lot of ground is covered. We might actually have another high here. There is some probability of a highest high here. It's not as strong as over here on the 9th, 8th, 9th. But it is possible, because I mean we're gonna have sideways rotation and then a fast sudden move higher at the end of that sideways rotation. A lot of price change here. You could probably position yourself in both directions with the amount of price change here on the 28th. On the 29th, key resistance level on a multi-day scale is highlighted that we've met many times before and failed to break through. We decline off of that. There's a rally on the 30th in the morning along a diagonal trend line that ends with a fast sudden move higher, and then a breakdown through that diagonal trend line. Starts probably midday off of a peak and continues into the morning of the 31st, where we have volatility on the 31st that ends with a fast sudden move higher. The sneak preview for September, we have a significant low based on the death card there for September. Mid-September, we definitely have a significant low that's on the cusp of September, October. Originally, I was thinking it was going to be a lowest low. I'm not so sure about that anymore. I'm not so sure it's going to be a lowest low. I think it's probably just going to be a really prominent, one of the more prominent lows of the year that'll stand out. A lot of price change here to the downside to meet through multiple support levels, and we revisit a support level that was recently a past opportunity. On the scale of a 1 year, that could be like within the last few months. It's about the 412, 420 range there, I think, in September, October. From the standpoint in August of a multi-month swing trade, what we're looking to do is open up a short position around the high for August in anticipation of this decline that we see into September, October. That's the main trade that we're looking for, and it looks like it's probably around the 3rd or 4th week, so probably the 28th is when to do it. And if you position yourself well, you might be able to make a profit with a long position opened up on the 28th as well. We might be able to make a profit early on in September. But the main trade is you want to position yourself for a downturn. And there's a couple of places that you could do it. You should probably do it at the beginning of the month in anticipation of the lows. And there's a good place to do it towards the end of the day on the 2nd or around the 8th, 9th at a failed attempt to break through key resistance. Should be a pretty big move to the upside to meet a peak or crest. That'll be a resistance that we fail to break through. That would be a good opportunity to get into a short. For just like a multi-day swing trade, you could hold those short positions. Well, if you opened it here at the end of the day on the 2nd, you could close it on the 7th, first thing in the morning or early in the morning. If you opened it here on the 8th, 9th at that failed attempt to break through key resistance, You could close it the very next day towards the end of the day, or you could hold it till the 14th. I wouldn't hold it past that, even though it looks like we might go lower. It's not safe to hold shorts for long periods of time, guys. That's why they're called short. They're called short for a reason, because they should be short-term trades. In the midst of a move late morning on the 18th to the upside, you could open up some protection and close that short position the following day, midday, or you could hold it until the 23rd and close it on the 23rd. First thing in the morning on the 16th, you could open up a long position and close that long position on the 17th, or you could hold it until like a peak or crest early in the day on the 18th. But I think probably the main trade to make is by the 28th, be sure to be in a short position. Might make sense to be in a short, like for a multi-month kind of short if you plan to do something like that. It might make sense to get into the short position as early as the 2nd, but make sure that you're in it by the 28th. You might have another opportunity around the 28th to get into a good short position in anticipation of the September decline. And that's the S&P 500 for August 2023. Let me know what you think by hitting that like button, my friends. Don't forget to subscribe. As always, make sure to follow that rule of karma. Do so here on the resources tab of our website, Tarot for Traders, where we ask that you take 5% of the profits that you make from this information and you pay it forward to one of these charities. And then 5% of the profits should be donated back to the channel here at one of these links. That leaves you at 90% of the profits. Make sure to spend that money out of love. As long as you spend that money out of love, the universe is going to send it back to you tenfold through this channel, my friends. I'll see you guys on the next one.